You need to watch where you're... I spun mid-sentence, the champagne glass slipping from my hand, barely catching myself on my heel when a hand shot out and grabbed me by the waist. Firm. Too low. Too strong. His fingers brushed the curve just under my hip, and that's when instinct took over. I slapped him. Hard. And then I looked up, straight into eyes like obsidian. Cold. Bottomless. Dangerous. You arrogant pervert. I snapped. Don't think. Because you're dressed in a 10,000 euro suit, you can grope women in public. The ballroom fell to silence. No music. No chatter. Nothing. The air shifted. I could feel it. Everyone could. He didn't say a word. His jaw clenched once, like the sound of a lock turning. Then he looked at the man behind me and said just 2 words. Portala via. Bring her. My breath caught. Excuse me? What the hell did you just... 2 men in black suits stepped forward. The music still hadn't resumed. Not a single person moved. Not even my father. Daddy! I screamed, looking over my shoulder. But he wasn't even looking at me. He was staring at him. The man I'd slapped. I tried to back away, but I didn't get far. One of the men took my arm. I fought. Clawed, cursed, kicked. Get your hands off me! Piccola, the man said. That same man. The one I hit. His voice was low, deep, terrifyingly calm. You will regret doing that here. I don't care who you think you are. Oh, you will. 3 days later, I was married. No church. No vows. No witnesses outside the Mafia. Just a gold ring and a signature. And him. Niccolo Salvatore. He looked at me like I was already broken, and I was already planning my next rebellion. That night, when he reached to touch me, I flinched. He didn't smile. He didn't scold. He only whispered, Chi ti ha fatto questo, piccola? Who did this to you, little one? And for the first time, I didn't know how to fight back. The sheets were too soft. That's what I remember thinking when I opened my eyes. Silk. Ivory. Immaculate. I was in his bed. Not because anything happened. Not yet. But because he said I wasn't allowed to sleep anywhere else. Wives don't sleep in guest rooms. Niccolo had said the night before, voice like smoke over ice. They sleep in my bed. Even if they don't want to. So I'd curled up against the edge, wrapped in my robe, every muscle tight with defiance. And fear. I'd never shared a bed with a man before, not because I was a prude. Because I couldn't. Because I'd never forgotten what I saw when I was 12. That girl. Her screams. The blood on her dress. The way no one helped her. Not even me. I shivered as I climbed out of bed, wrapping my arms around my chest. Where do you think you're going, Piccola? His voice cut through the morning like a blade. I froze. He was already dressed. Leaning against the doorframe. Shirt crisp. Cufflinks glinting. Watching me like he was studying prey that hadn't yet realized it was caught. I need clothes. You'll be dressed when I say so. My heart skipped. Excuse me? He pushed off the wall and walked toward me. Slow, calm, terrifying in his control. You think I married you so you could keep doing whatever you want? I backed away. You think marrying me gives you control over my body? He stopped inches from me. Close enough I could feel his breath against my cheek. Sigh. Yes, because your body is mine now, and if I have to punish you for forgetting that, his fingers brushed my jaw. Gentle, almost reverent. I will. I slapped his hand away. I'm not some mafia doll you get to decorate and command. He smiled. Just a flicker. No humor in it. You are exactly that, Bella, and the sooner you learn obedience, the easier this will be. I hated how my breath stuttered, how my knees wobbled when he leaned down and brushed his lips, softly, just over my cheekbone, I don't want it easy, I whispered. He stilled. Then he spoke low against my skin, each word a threat and a promise. Good, because I wasn't planning on being gentle. Okay, y'all, let me ask you all this. Would you have walked into that room? Because I did, and I didn't understand what it would cost. This devil keeps testing me. His scent still clung to the sheets when I crept out later that morning, hoping to find even a sliver of freedom. Let's get back to my personal hell. The house was a palace. Marble floors, carved columns, gold-lined frames. The kind of place designed to make you feel small. I found the grand staircase and made it halfway down before I saw the guards. 2 of them. Black suits, guns holstered, eyes cold. One of them lifted a brow. Back to your room, Signora Salvatore. No, don't make this difficult. I crossed my arms. What's the consequence? Another cryptic threat? Or does your boss do all the punishing himself? A new voice answered from the shadows behind me. I do, actually. I turned. He was standing at the top of the stairs, like he'd been watching me from the second I moved. Come here, he said. I didn't move. He descended slowly, like a lion taking his time. Disobedience already, Piccola? We haven't even had breakfast. You can't keep me here. He stepped closer, close enough to smell the bergamot on his skin. Try to leave again, he murmured, and I'll chain you to my bed. I slapped him again. This time, he caught my wrist, held it, tight. His mouth brushed my ear. One more slap, and I'll show you exactly what kind of punishment your body remembers. He didn't kiss me. He didn't touch me again. He just let go and whispered, Tonight, you sleep without clothes. And the way he said it made me afraid I might want him to follow through.
I didn't sleep. Not a second. I kept waiting for the door to open, for the sheets to shift, for his voice to crawl across the dark and tell me what he planned to do with a disobedient wife. But it never came. When I woke, if you could even call it waking, I was still alone. No clothes. Just the ache of his threat pressing into my skin like a bruise. And worse than fear was the heat. I hated that I couldn't stop thinking about it. About him. About what he meant. About what he would do if I tested him again. So I did. Breakfast was set on the terrace. Eggs, fruit, espresso, too perfect, too silent. Nicola was already sitting at the head of the long marble table, scrolling something on his phone. His other hand rested casually over a knife. Not metaphorically. A real one. I sat across from him without saying a word, lifted the espresso cup to my lips. His eyes didn't lift. You disobeyed me, I sipped. You said no clothes. I wore lingerie. That's barely anything. His gaze lifted, slow, sharp, cutting through me like a scalpel. He rose from his chair. I held my ground, chin high. Are you going to hurt me? No. He walked toward me, voice deceptively quiet. I'm going to teach you. Then he was behind me, one hand in my hair, not cruel, but firm enough to make my breath catch. I said no clothes, Piccola. That meant no silk, no lace, no games. I'm not afraid of you, Bogarda. His mouth brushed my ear, and my body betrayed me. I shivered. His hand traced the strap of my nightdress. Down my spine, my pulse spiked. Get up. No. He grabbed the edge of the table and slammed it, just enough to make me gasp. The silver clattered. I won't ask again. So I stood. He circled, every step deliberate. Then he sat in the chair I'd just left and patted his lap. You wanted punishment. Come take it. My cheeks burned. You're insane. Come. Here. My legs moved before my brain did. I don't know why. My heart was a fist in my throat. I didn't know what he would do. I just knew I couldn't breathe. When I reached him, he caught my wrist and pulled me across his lap, effortless. I gasped, struggled. Let me go. You had your chance. He didn't raise his hand, didn't strike me. He touched me, slow, intimate, over silk that barely counted as protection, one firm palm sliding over the curve of my hip, lower. Pausing. You think I want to hurt you, he said, voice dark. I don't, but I will make you obey. His hand fell, not hard, just enough to make my stomach flip, and heat rush where it shouldn't. I choked. Stop, again, this time with purpose. My nails curled into his shirt. My eyes burned. My body betrayed me again, heat pooling where fear once lived. He leaned in. Do you understand now, Tesoro? I swallowed. My voice was barely a whisper. Yes. Say it. I understand. He brushed my hair back from my face, then kissed my temple like I was precious. You're mine now, Piccola. There's no running from that. And as he carried me from the terrace, my pulse thundering, my skin flushed, my breath ragged, I realized something terrifying. I didn't want to run. I hadn't seen him in 36 hours. Not since he carried me upstairs after. What happened on the terrace? He hadn't touched me again, hadn't looked at me, hadn't said a word when I passed him in the hallway that morning, wearing the red silk gown he sent with a note that read, "You'll wear this," and smile. I should have burned it. But I wore it, not for obedience, but because it clung to my body like defiance, and I wanted him to look. The car ride was silent, leather seats, tinted windows, 2 men in the front, armed to the teeth. Niccolò beside me like a statue made of shadows and violence. "You're taking me to a party," I muttered. "What's next? A honeymoon in hell?" His gaze didn't flicker. "You'll be polite. You'll be quiet. You'll stay by my side." I crossed my legs slowly, dragging the silk higher on my thigh. "You're scared I'll embarrass you again?" His eyes darkened. "No," he said. "I'm scared I'll have to remind you again. And next time, Piccola, I won't be so gentle." The event was hosted in a palazzo carved from gold and secrets. He led me through the grand doors like he was parading a prize. Heads turned. Whispers followed. I saw men nod at him in respect. Women scan me with practiced smiles and jealousy in their eyes. They all knew. She slapped him, and he married her. We stopped near the marble bar. His hand stayed on my lower back. Possessive. Branding me through satin. A man approached. Smiled too wide, bowed too low, his eyes swept over me like I was naked. I stepped back. Niccolò didn't blink. "Do that again," he murmured, "and I'll cut his eyes out." I laughed. "You're joking." He turned to me slowly. "I don't joke, Bella, especially not when another man looks at what's mine." Okay, pause. Because what happens next is the moment fear started turning into something I didn't want to admit. I wanted the devil's touch. Back to the story. He reached for my hand then, his fingers curling over mine like a leash I didn't know I wanted. I tried to pull away. He didn't let go. Instead, he leaned down, his lips brushing the shell of my ear. "Smile." I don't feel like smiling. His fingers squeezed mine. "You'll do it anyway, because tonight you'll make them believe this marriage is real." I tilted my chin. "You want a show? Fine." I turned toward him, stood on my toes, and kissed him. Hard. Not sweet. Not shy. I kissed him like I meant it, like I wanted to ruin him with his own game, and he let me. But when I pulled away, his smile was lethal. "You'll pay for that." Good. I shouldn't have said that. I knew it the moment we got home. He said nothing the entire drive. Not a word as we crossed the foyer, past his men, past the marble staircase, but when the door shut behind us, when the silence swallowed us whole, he turned. "Strip." I flinched. "What?" "You want to disobey in public?" he growled. "Then you'll be punished in the private." My pulse hammered. I took a step back. "No, Niccolò." He didn't raise a hand. Didn't need to. He took one step forward, and I stopped breathing. "Say the word, Piccola. Say stop. Say no. But don't you dare think I'll go easy again." I didn't speak, and that was its own surrender. Later, when I lay breathless against the sheets, skin marked with possession I couldn't undo, I whispered one word into the dark. "Why?" And from the shadows, his answer came like a confession he hadn't meant to give. "Because I don't want anyone else to see the parts of you I haven't touched yet." I was unraveling, and the worst part, I knew it. Every breath I took in that house was laced with his scent. Every hallway held the echo of his voice. Every door I opened reminded me I belonged to him now, not legally, possessively. It had been 2 days since he last touched me. Since I woke up with his hands on my hips and his breath at my neck, punishing me without a single bruise, marking me in ways I couldn't see, but couldn't stop feeling. He hadn't kissed me. Not once. Not on the mouth. Not like that. And somehow that made everything worse, because it meant he hadn't claimed me yet. Not fully. And my body ached for the moment he would. I found him in the lib run. Of course it was old, dark, and far too large, lined with shelves of leather-bound violence and secrets. He didn't look up when I entered, didn't acknowledge me, so I pushed. "What happens when you get bored of me?" Silence. I stepped closer. "Do I get replaced? Sold? Buried?" His fingers turned a page. "Is that what you think of me, Piccola?" he murmured. "That I collect wives like wine bottles and break them when they get dusty?" "I don't know what to think of you." His jaw flexed. "Then stop thinking," he said, rising to his feet in one fluid movement. "And listen." He crossed the room, slow, controlled. The closer he got, the harder it was to breathe. "I've never had a wife," he said. "I've never even kept a woman." "Why me?" "Because you slapped me," he growled. "Because you made me feel something I didn't know I could. Because your defiance tastes like hunger, and I haven't eaten in years." My heart slammed. "You want to kiss me, don't you?" I whispered. He stopped a breath away. "No." My stomach dropped. Then he leaned in, lips brushing my cheekbone, his voice dark silk. "I want to ruin you so slowly that when I finally take your mouth it feels like mercy." But that wasn't the end of it. Later that night, when I wandered the hallways barefoot, trying to forget the way my body had begged for him, he found me. He didn't speak, just grabbed my wrist, spun me into him, and kissed me like he'd been dying not to. My spine hit the wall, his hands trapped my face. And then, God. Heat. His mouth was fire and fury, no hesitation, no gentleness, just teeth, tongue, breath. He kissed me like he was claiming a war prize, and I kissed him back like I was willing to be conquered. When he finally pulled back, both of us breathless and burning, he pressed his forehead to mine and whispered, "Next time you kiss me like that, I won't stop." And I didn't know if that was a warning or a promise I wanted him to keep. I tried to tell myself it was a fluke. The kiss. The way his mouth crashed into mine like he'd been starving for it, like he was trying to take back the breath he lost the night I slapped him. But the way he'd looked at me afterward, forehead pressed to mine, voice hoarse with restraint, that wasn't a fluke. That was possession. And it scared me because now I could feel him even when he wasn't in the room. I tested it that morning, walked through the house barefoot in nothing but one of his white shirts, pretending I didn't know about the cameras. I'd found them the night before, tiny lenses tucked into the corners, hidden behind frames, inside the chandelier. He was watching me, and I was starting to like it. So I gave him a show. I moved slowly, danced through the sunbeams on the marble, hummed a tune I didn't know, brushed my fingers over my thighs and up the collar of his shirt like I didn't care who was watching, like I wasn't terrified that he was. When I reached the kitchen, there was a note on the counter. Just one line, written in bold black ink. "Your body is not for games." I smiled. Then I rolled my eyes and took the last strawberry from the bowl like it was an act of rebellion. "Okay. Are you still with me? Because this is where the attachment starts sinking its teeth in. The game was changing. Let's find out how. That night I caught my reflection in the glass and whispered to myself, "You should be afraid of him." But I wasn't, not like I used to be. Later that night, I felt him before I saw him. I was brushing my hair in front of the mirror when the bedroom door opened. I didn't look up. I didn't need to. "Were you working late?" I asked. Silence. Then, "You think I enjoy punishing you?" My pulse jumped. "I think you enjoy control," I said carefully. He stepped closer. I could feel the heat of his body behind me, the tension rippling off him like smoke. "I told you not to tease me." I wasn't teasing. "You were tempting," he growled. "And there's a price for that." His hands settled on my hips. Not hard, not cruel, but firm enough that I couldn't pretend I wasn't trembling. "I'm not scared of you anymore," I whispered. "You should be." I finally met his eyes in the mirror. They were dark, unreadable, but not empty. "I saw you today," he murmured. "Every second, every inch." And all I could think was, I want her to do that in my bed, with my hands on her. I swallowed hard. He reached for the hem of the shirt I wore, his shirt, and slowly pulled it higher. "You want attention, Piccola?" He whispered against my neck. "I'll give you all of it, every night, until you forget how to be alone." He didn't undress me, he didn't touch me where I feared, but he made me feel it. Every slow word, every slow breath, every slow drag of silk across my skin until I was shaking with a need I didn't know how to name. That was his punishment, and it worked. When he left the room, leaving me breathless and untouched, I collapsed to my knees beside the bed, whispering a truth I couldn't ignore anymore. I want him to touch me, even if it destroys me. I didn't expect him to be in the greenhouse. He didn't strike me as the type, but there he was, hands in his pockets, jacket draped over one of the stone benches, black shirt clinging to his back as the late morning light filtered through the glass above us, watching the orchids like they'd personally offended him. "I thought you hated flowers," I said quietly. He didn't turn around. "I do." "Then why are you here?" Silence. Then, softly, "They remind me of you." The breath caught in my throat before I could stop it. What does that even mean? He turned. His eyes weren't cold today. They weren't furious or mocking or hungry for obedience. They were quiet, delicate, spoiled, grown in glass. He stepped toward me. As if someone mishandles you, you die. I should have been insulted. Instead, I was speechless. He reached out, brushed a lock of hair behind my ear with 2 fingers. I thought I could control you, he said. Thought I could break you. You still might. His voice dropped. I don't want to anymore. My breath shuddered. Because that terrified me more than any punishment. He cupped my jaw with one hand, thumb brushing over my cheekbone, slow and reverent, like I was something he wasn't sure he was allowed to touch. You're still afraid, he said quietly. Not of you. He searched my face. Then of what? Of what I feel when you look at me like that. And how am I looking at you, Piccola mia? I didn't answer. I couldn't. But my lips parted just enough. And then he kissed me. It wasn't like the last one. This kiss wasn't war. It was worship. Slow, deep, unhurried, like he was memorizing me or trying to give me a reason to stay. His hand slid around my waist, pulling me flush against his chest, and I didn't fight it. I melted into it, into him. His tongue traced the seam of my lips, asking, not taking. I opened. I let him. And the second I did, something broke between us. Something gave. He groaned into my mouth like I was the only relief he'd had in years. His grip tightened, my legs weakened, and when he pulled back, breathing heavy, his forehead resting against mine, I whispered, Why are you being gentle with me? His voice was gravel. Because when I finally ruin you, I want it to be the first time you beg me not to stop. And in that moment, as he kissed me again, slower this time, I realized something that stole the air from my lungs. I didn't want him to stop either. I woke up in his bed again. Only this time, it wasn't because he demanded it. It was because I chose it. Somewhere between the second kiss in the greenhouse and the silence he left on my skin after, I started needing him near. And that terrified me more than the marriage, more than the threats, more than the cameras and the guards and the ring on my finger that still didn't feel real. Because now, it wasn't just about control. It was about him. The way he looked at me like he could see through every layer I'd ever worn. The way his voice found the parts of me I tried to bury. The way his touch didn't feel like punishment anymore. It felt like permission. I made the mistake of testing him again. Not because I wanted to fight, but because I wanted his attention. He'd been distant all morning. On calls, behind closed doors, barking orders in a language I didn't speak, but was learning by heart. Uccidilo. Proteggila. Fammi sapere. Kill him. Protect her. Keep me informed. He didn't look at me during lunch, didn't touch me when he passed by, and that absence burned. So I wandered into his office and sat in his chair, legs crossed, one of his cigars between my fingers like I owned the place. When he walked in, he didn't speak. He just shut the door behind him and stared. Then, very slowly, he reached for the button on his sleeve and rolled it up. 1, 2, 3 times, until his forearms were bare. Until I remembered what those arms felt like, wrapped around me in the dark. You're not allowed in here, he said. I wanted to see what makes you tick. Is that what you want, Piccola? His voice was low now, dangerous. You want to crawl inside my world? I leaned back in his chair, smug. Maybe. His eyes dropped to my bare thighs, then rose again, slow, unhurried, dark. Then strip. My breath caught. What? Strip on my desk. Now. Pause. Wait, what? Because this is the moment the story splits, the version I tell out loud, and the truth I'm about to admit to you. I stood. I climbed on his desk, and I didn't say no. He didn't undress me. He made me do it, piece by piece, every button, every slow slide of fabric, and the entire time he didn't touch me. He watched. Punishment had changed. Now it was denial. You want my attention? He asked, his voice like a razor sliding across silk. You want my hands on you? My mouth? Then earn it. I'm not your pet. No, he said, circling me like a predator. You're my obsession, and I'll teach you how to crave me until breathing without me feels like starvation. I whimpered. And that one sound, snapped the last thread of his control. He didn't kiss me. He didn't take me. But he made me kneel on his office floor with nothing but his jacket over my shoulders and whispered in my ear, Next time you disobey, I won't stop at watching. And as I sat there, naked, trembling, wanting, I realized I hadn't tested his control. I'd tested my own. I should have listened. He told me not to leave the house, not even the garden. He told me there were men watching, that his enemies were circling like wolves, that wearing his name made me a target long before I earned his protection. But I didn't listen, because I wanted to feel normal for just 1 hour. So I slipped out through the side gate while his guards changed shifts. No makeup, no phone, just sunglasses and a scarf and a stupid craving for pistachio gelato from the stand down the street. I didn't make it to the corner. The van came out of nowhere. Hands grabbed me, rough, fast, unforgiving. A hood over my head, a voice in Italian I didn't recognize. I screamed once, fought, kicked. Then something cracked against my ribs, and the world went black. When I woke, my wrists were bound behind me, my dress was torn, my lip was bleeding, and there were 3 of them. They circled me like I was something to sell or destroy. She's pretty, one of them said in Italian. He'll come for her. He'll trade, another muttered, but only if we leave a few marks first. My heart froze. My body wouldn't stop shaking, and all I could think about was him, his voice, his hands, the way he whispered piccola like it meant something. I didn't beg, not even when they hit me. I just closed my eyes and pictured his face, because I knew if he was still breathing, he would come. It was the sound that hit first, not footsteps, not yelling, gunfire, close, loud, final. Then the door burst open, and hell came with it. I couldn't see through the blood, but I heard his voice. Don't touch her. Don't you damn touch her. 1 shot, then another, then arms around me, hard, shaking. Amora, I sobbed. His hands were on my face, my wrists, my waist. Tesoro, he whispered, voice cracked and broken. Chi ti ha fatto questo? Who did this to you? My mouth trembled. I didn't listen. He pulled me into his chest, held me like he was scared I'd vanish. You're safe now. No, I whispered, I'm deaf. Not without you. His breath caught. Then he pressed his forehead to mine, blood on both our skin, and whispered, My più piccola. Never again, little one. I'll never let you out of my sight. That night, as he carried me out of that warehouse like something sacred, something already his, I finally stopped fighting, because I knew he wasn't just my captor anymore. He was my only safe place in the world. He didn't leave my side. Not to eat. Not to sleep. Not even when I cried in my sleep and clawed at the sheets, waking up gasping and bloodless with the image of those men burned into my skull. Every time he was there, cradling my face, calling me Bella, Tesoro, kissing my temple like it would erase the bruises, holding me against his chest like his arms were the last thing keeping me alive. And maybe they were. Because I hadn't let anyone touch me since I was 12. Not really. But when he touched me now, I didn't flinch. I breathed. He watched me sleep. I knew he did. I'd pretend to drift off just to catch the way he looked at me when he thought I wasn't watching. Like I was fragile. Like I was already gone. Like he couldn't handle the thought of it. And when I reached for his hand in the middle of the night, he held it like it anchored him to the earth. That morning, he brought me to the rooftop. The city was waking. Lights still low, sky still gray. I was in one of his sweaters. Barefoot, hair damp from a shower I hadn't taken alone, and he just stood there, staring out at Rome like he was ready to set it on fire. I almost killed every man in that room, he said. You did. He didn't turn. I wanted to make it worse. You didn't need to. His voice dropped. I would have burned the world, Amora? Do you understand that? I stepped closer. You already own the world. He finally looked at me. No, he said. I only own you. All right. Pause, because this is where I realized I mattered to him. And that terrified me more than his violence ever did. His fingers trembled when they brushed my cheek. Not from rage, but from something far more dangerous. Fear. I never wanted a wife, he whispered. Never needed one. I know. I wanted power, loyalty, fear. You still have those. His hand curled gently around my neck, thumb brushing my pulse. But then you slapped me, he said, and suddenly none of it mattered. I swallowed hard. Why didn't you take me that first night? I asked. He tensed. Because you were afraid. I still am. He leaned in, brushing his lips over the corner of my mouth. Di me? Of me? I hesitated, then shook my head. No. Of how much I want you. His breath caught. And when he kissed me again, it wasn't war or worship. It was home. That night, I fell asleep on his chest with his arms wrapped around me like a promise. And before I closed my eyes, I heard him whisper, If anyone touches you again, I won't let them live to regret it. He didn't speak at first, just stood in the doorway of the bedroom, watching me from the shadows like he wasn't sure if I'd vanish if he blinked. The bruises were fading, but the silence between us was not, because something had shifted, not just in me, in him. He crossed the room without a word, sat on the edge of the bed and stared at his hands like they were foreign, bloodied, dangerous. "Say it," I whispered. "Whatever it is, just say it." He lifted his eyes, dark, heavy. "Unreadable. You're not a prisoner anymore." The breath caught in my throat. "What?" "You're not chained to me. Not by force, not by name, not by fear." My pulse skipped. "Are you letting me go?" He didn't answer right away. When he did, his voice sounded like it had been torn from somewhere deep. "I'm giving you a choice." I stood. My heart was already hammering. "Why now?" "Because if you stay," he said, rising to meet my eyes, "I need to know it's not because you're scared of what's out there. I am scared of what's out there." He stepped closer. "But are you scared of me?" "No." His hand cupped my cheek, gentle, reverent. "Then choose." I didn't blink. "Stay and surrender?" I whispered. "Stay and be mine." His jaw flexed. "In truth, in fire, in blood, or walk away and I'll never stop protecting you, but I won't stop you." I didn't answer. Not right away. Because how do you say yes to the very man you once slapped in front of 100 people? How do you say yes to a monster who tore the world apart just to keep your pulse beating? How do you say yes when the thing inside you isn't fear anymore, it's devotion? But I never got the chance. Because just as I reached for his hand, just as the words "I choose you" reached the tip of my tongue, the window shattered. Gunfire, a scream. Hands grabbed me, pulled me away from him. And in the chaos, I saw his face twist into something feral. Amora, then black. I was dragged from the room, from the house, from the man I was finally ready to give my soul to, and all I could think was, I never said yes, and I may never get the chance again. I don't remember the ride, not the screams, not the cold metal pressed to my temple, not the way they spat my name like it was filth in their mouths. All I remember is the silence, the space between breaths, the sound of my own heartbeat pounding in my ears as they dragged me into another room, another cage, another place meant to break me. But they never got the chance. Because he came. And this time, he didn't knock. He burned the door down. I heard the first shot before I even screamed. Then another, and suddenly, the man gripping my arm was gone, on the floor, bleeding from the mouth, and there he was, Niccolo Salvatore. Eyes wild, shirt soaked, breathing like a beast, and when he looked at me, it wasn't rage that cracked through the darkness on his face, it was fear. He dropped his gun, came to his knees in front of me. "Piccola, amore mio." Little one. My love. My hands shook. My body was ice, my voice was gone, but my eyes never left him. He untied me with trembling fingers, held me like glass, like fire, and then he whispered the one word I had been dying to say. Home. He carried me out himself. Refused help, refused rest. He didn't speak until we reached the bedroom. His bedroom, our bedroom. I hadn't said it yet, hadn't made my choice, and still, he never asked again. He just stood at the edge of the bed, like he was afraid to touch me now. Like maybe this time I'd be the one to walk away. But I didn't. I stepped into him, pressed my palm to his chest, felt the rhythm of his heart like it belonged under mine. Then I whispered the answer I should have given him before the glass shattered. I choose you. He didn't kiss me like he had something to prove. He kissed me like I was the last thing on earth that could save him. Slow, deep, unhurried. His hands found my waist, my hips, my face, and mine, God, mine, tangled in his shirt like I was drowning in the gravity of him. Tell me to stop, he rasped. If there's even a shadow of fear in you. I pulled him down with me onto the bed, into my breath, and said, touch me, Niccolo. I'm not afraid of you anymore. The way he undressed me, it wasn't rough. It was reverent. His fingers brushed the hem of my dress like he was asking permission from the skin beneath it. His lips trailed over my throat, my collarbone, my ribs, pausing at every place I had once tried to hide. Bellissima. So beautiful. I closed my eyes. Let him worship me. Let him take the places I had once closed off and make them his with nothing but breath and heat and devotion. He touched me like a man who had almost lost me. Like he couldn't believe I was real. And when I finally pulled him over me, when our bodies fit like a secret finally told, I didn't hold back. I let go. Every shiver, every gasp, every broken moan that left my lips was for him, only him. And when I came apart in his arms, it wasn't pain I felt, it was peace. After he held me close, our legs tangled, my hand resting over his heart, and in the quiet that followed, he whispered, "You'll never be alone again, piccola mia. Not in this life, not in any." Because when I slapped the most dangerous man in Italy, I thought I was starting a war. I didn't know I was choosing the only man who would ever love me like this. With violence, with tenderness, with everything. It's been 6 months since I slapped the wrong man. Since I was forced into a marriage I never wanted. Since I became Amora Salvatore, I still wear red lipstick, I still roll my eyes, I still test him because I like the look he gets when I do. But now when he punishes me, I beg him not to stop. Our wedding was redone. Not fast, not quiet, not hidden. It was on the cliffs outside Palermo at sunset, with blood roses, cathedral lace, and his hand wrapped around mine like no one else would ever hold it again. My father walked me down the aisle, and Niccolo? He didn't smile. He knelt, not for show, for me, because he said marrying me twice was the only way he'd ever feel like he earned it. There's a mark on my thigh now, small, hidden, a brand. His symbol. I asked for it, because after what we survived, after what he did to get me back, I didn't want a ring to be the only thing that claimed me. I wanted his mark under my skin. Forever. Sometimes I still wake up in the middle of the night, sweating, shaking, remembering, and when I do, he doesn't say anything. He just pulls me into his arms and murmurs words in Italian I still haven't asked him to translate, but I know what they mean. Mine. Safe. Always. Rooftop balcony. Rome. I'm wrapped in one of his shirts. He's behind me, arms around my waist, chin on my shoulder, watching the city like it still belongs to him. It does, but so do I. "Tell me again," I whisper. His lips brush my neck. "I'd kill the world for you, Piccola. And if I ever leave," his voice drops to a growl, "then I'll burn it all down and build it again around your scent." I laugh, because I know he's not joking, and I love him for it, because I didn't just marry the king of darkness. I married the devil who would drag hell to my feet, just to keep me warm. The end. I never meant to fall in love with a man like him. I thought he would ruin me, and maybe he did, but not in the way I feared. He broke the walls I built. He touched the places I swore no one ever would. And in the end, he didn't just claim my body, he earned my trust. So if you've made it to this moment with me, thank you. For listening, for staying, for believing I was more than a spoiled girl in a red dress. And if you felt something, if he made your heart ache or your breath catch, then stay with me. Because this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of what it means to be his. Let me know in the comments. Would you have stayed or would you have run? Subscribe now and let me know in the comments if you want book 2. Because the next time he touches me, it won't be just to claim me. It'll be to own me completely. See you in the next one.